Breaking news. Donald Trump just snapped at a reporter once again when the journalist asked him a simple question about the Epstein files. That question alone is enough to get Donald Trump to either run away from the cameras or lunge and yell at reporters like he did the other day on Air Force One when he went, "Quiet, quiet," yelling at a young reporter. And this time today, he completely snapped at this journalist and said, "You're a terrible reporter, you're fake news, we're not going to talk about this, let's talk about the amazing accomplishments of the Trump administration." What a joke. What innocent person would be behaving like this? If you don't have something to hide, release the files. If you're innocent, why don't you just prove you're innocent by releasing the files? Those two fundamental questions are leading more and more Americans to understand that Trump might be guilty. Hopefully reporters don't cave. Hopefully they continue to do their job as the fourth branch of government and continue to hold this administration accountable. This administration that promised to be so transparent. Now all they're doing is hurting the victims and the survivors. We need transparency and we need justice now.
Pay attention and listen, because Donald Trump is about to inject $20 trillion into the entire market. Look.
Investing in America, $20 trillion. No country's ever done anywhere even near that, like a fraction of that. Biden did less than $1 trillion in 4 years. I did 20 trillion. We're going to do over 17 trillion in 8 months. By the time we end, we could do over $20 trillion. There's never, in China, no matter where you go, there's never been anything like it. We are building up something that's unbelievable. And a big part of that are the tariffs, because they don't want to have to pay the tariffs, because it's so unsustainable that they come and build the pharmaceuticals and the chips and all the things. They're coming into the United States and they're building them. It's a miracle what's happening. We are building the greatest country in the world, economically, greater than we.
So it seems Donnie found out that all of his fans are burning all of their MAGA stuff, because now he's posting on his Truth Social that Congress should release all the Epstein files. He never does anything out of the goodness of his heart, so there is a play here. Now, I'm a little giddy about this, because if he does in fact encourage Congress to pass this through, we don't have to worry about the supermajority. He's implying that he's not going to override it. Which again brings me back to, I'm guessing it's going to be redacted. We're not going to find anything about Trump, and we're not going to find anything about any Republicans whatsoever, because there's going to be a lot of black lines. Keep in mind the DOJ is the one who is going to release the files, and they have control over what is going to be redacted. I'm not so giddy anymore. But if you know of a way like around this where the DOJ doesn't have control over the documents anymore, like if there's some sort of outside body of government or non-government that could take over or oversee the process so that the DOJ, aka Trump's hench people, don't have control over it, that would be super cool to be educated about. We'll see how this plays out.
We have some breaking news. Trump is now urging House Republicans to vote for a bill that would force the Justice Department to release files related to Jeffrey Epstein. According to Associated Press, this is a very sharp reversal after months of opposing this measure and criticizing it as a Democratic hoax. So here is what's happening. A bipartisan bill led by Republican Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Democrat Ro Khanna of California would make public pages of Justice Department and FBI records on Epstein, with names of victims and sensitive details redacted. Lawmakers expect a large number of Republicans to join Democrats in support, meaning the bill is likely to pass the House, even though Republican leaders had previously tried to slow it down. Trump wrote on Truth Social that we have nothing to hide, and said releasing the files would help the country move on from what he calls a political attack. Reuters reports that House Speaker Mike Johnson is also signaling support, saying there's nothing to hide in the documents. The bill's future in the Senate is unclear, but pressure is growing from both parties to let the public see more of, what the government knows about Epstein and powerful people connected to him.
In tonight's breaking story, Trump just crashed a late-night wedding and instantly regrets it. That's right. This story is just as bizarre as it sounds. How Trump just crashed a late-night wedding and instantly regrets it. Take a look at this breaking story.
Oh my God.
Eric Metaxas.
I want to talk to him about getting better.
Oh my God.
Tonight, President Trump is facing fresh backlash after crashing a private wedding at Mar-a-Lago and turning the moment into an awkward spectacle that embarrassed even his own loyal supporters. The president wandered into the ceremony uninvited and immediately derailed the celebration by shouting about how he might get into heaven. While greeting the bride and groom, Trump spotted right-wing radio host Eric Metaxas and suddenly fixated on him, grabbing his hand and loudly declaring, "This is the guy who's going to get me to heaven." And Metaxas' reaction tells the whole story. In his own caption online, he admitted the moment was uncomfortable. He wrote, "As he walked in, he pointed right at me and joked, 'This is the guy who's going to get me to heaven.' I laughed and told him, 'I'd really like to talk to you about that, but another time.' Truthfully, I would love to have that conversation with him one day, but this wasn't the place." That is a rare moment where even one of Trump's most dedicated cheerleaders is gently signaling the president crossed a line. The backfire is simple. This moment didn't just show Trump's need to make every room, every event, every situation about him. It highlighted the bizarre absurdity of talking about getting into heaven at someone else's wedding reception, and it dragged Metaxas into a situation he clearly didn't want to be part of. Then there is the added irony. The man Trump pointed to as his salvation is not a pastor, not a theologian, not a spiritual leader. Metaxas is the same figure who pushed election conspiracy theories and was accused of punching an anti-Trump protester in the head, yet Trump treated him as some kind of heavenly sponsor. The idea that this man is going to be escorting the president through the pearly gates is laughable on its face. And when you add the context, it gets even worse. Trump is 79 years old and regularly faces questions about his mental sharpness and health. So when he crashes a wedding and starts rambling about heaven, salvation, and who might get him in, it only reinforces
It's really up with Donald Trump in Venezuela. The Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier strike group is rounding the corner of the Virgin Islands and on its way closer to Venezuela, along with other ships that are already there and those that are within this group. Are we really going to war with Venezuela? Is this really about illegal stuff coming into the country? Or is there something else? Are we looking to wag the dog? Full distraction from Epstein and what's going on here? Is that something that could be possible? Certainly it is. Are we really after Venezuela's oil, which the oil companies here would love to get their hands on again? Are we going to help topple the government? Are we going to have Americans becoming unalived, boots on the ground? What's really going on here? But I do think, in a large part, it's a tremendous distraction on purpose, trying to distract from Trump's problems back at home, be it the Epstein files, be it the poor economy, be it the high inflation, be it his trade war. I mean, everything that is polled on Trump, his poll numbers are quite negative, with a 63% overall disapproval rating. Not good. Actually, it's 67%. Let me clarify. No, it's 63%. 63% of the latest polls. 37 approved and 63 disapproved. So quite negative. So what do you think is going on here? What's really going on here? Let me know. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, my burned out light bulbs, and any Venezuelans, Americans here in the country. Let me know what you think too.
Trump just pulled the biggest smash and grab that I've ever freaking seen. And at whose expense? Yours expense, my expense, everybody who lives in this country who isn't a billionaire's expense. What am I talking about? Let me tell you. This week, Trump just crashed the stock market on purpose so that way him and his buddies could make a ton of money. That's called insider trading. Let's look it up just to make sure I'm not crazy. Let's read it together, shall we? Insider trading is the illegal practice of buying or selling a company's securities, like stocks or bonds, based on material, non-public information about the company obtained through privileged access or tipping, which is a breach of fiduciary duty. It goes on to say that insider trading involves using confidential, non-public information like only the President of the United States would have. And it makes total sense because he's the one who did it. He made the stock market crash by using all of these tariffs. And then what did he do? After the stock market started to crash, he pulls back and he says, oh, we're not going to impose tariffs anymore. We're just going to do 10% on everyone. Then what happens? He tells all of his buddies, hey, go and buy these stocks. And then as soon as he announces that, stocks go way up, way up. But you know who that doesn't help? It doesn't help you. It doesn't help me because we're just poor people who live in this country. I told you that he wants to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. That's exactly what he's doing because you and me, we're not going to get any of that money that we lost back. If you have money in your 401k, if you have money in the stock market, if you lost that money, I'm sorry, but we're just fucking out of luck.
He made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad. He's in financials.
Yep, and that was our president there just joking with all his rich buddies about all the money he just made them by doing insider trading. This man should be in prison. I actually think he should have been in prison like 34 times ago, but no, he's our president. He runs our country, but yet he wants to send people who have any type of illegal activity, whether they're from this country or not, out of the country. Follow me if you even give a shit. And free Palestine.